Hi, and welcome to Anne's Family Recipe. Today we're making one of my favorites, Philly cheesesteaks. I grew up in South Central Pennsylvania, which was about an hour and 45 minutes away from Philadelphia. So I would go there a lot to eat Philly cheesesteaks. I remember my freshman year of high school, my brother was living at home and he came and picked me up after school and we drove straight to Philadelphia and got cheesesteaks and then came home. And that was like the best night of my life. I thought it was so cool in high school. I probably wasn't, but the cheesesteaks were incredible. So I haven't tried all of the cheesesteak places in Philadelphia, but I've tried a lot. Of course, I've had Pat's and Gino's, which are kind of the two quintessential dueling cheesesteak places in Philly. They're right across the street from each other and they're both really good, but I like some other ones better. I really like Tony Luke's. I love Jim's on South Street, but my new favorite is D'Alessandro's. They chop their meat up really fine. They have delicious caramelized onions inside, and it's loaded with Cheez Wiz. Plus, the bread is on point, which is key. So today, we're gonna try and recreate the D'Alessandro's cheesesteak, whiz with, which means it's gonna have Cheez Wiz with onions. So I have a gigantic cast iron skillet here, which is kind of funny. I got it as a wedding gift and I just chose it online. I wasn't actually thinking about dimensions. I just picked the biggest one I could find. And it weighs a ton. It was by far the heaviest wedding gift I got and the biggest. But you know what? I use it all the time and we're gonna use it today for our cheesesteaks. So I have a tablespoon each of olive oil and butter heating up probably over about medium-high heat. And I diced up one yellow onion. So we're gonna add that and cook it until it gets nice and soft and sweet and kind of caramelized around the edges. So my onions have finished cooking in the pan and we're gonna remove them to a separate bowl and then get working on our ribeye steak. So today we're working with ribeye steak. Now, of course you don't have to use this. Do I always buy ribeye steak? No. But did I just get a membership to Costco with a $20 off coupon and an additional $8 off of steak? I absolutely did, and it was time to buy some ribeyes. So that's what we're using today. You could substitute skirt steak, flank steak, or even like a New York strip. And the nice thing is that we're actually starting with a steak that is pretty much frozen. So if you find a good cut of steak that you like on sale, buy it then and freeze it if you're not gonna make your cheesesteaks right away. And then you're ready to go because it makes it a lot easier to slice when it's frozen. I want to share with you a quick tip before I show you how I slice my meat. Underneath my cutting board, I have a damp paper towel. And I like to do this whenever I'm slicing because it prevents the cutting board from sliding around on the surface. It makes it stick, which is really helpful, especially when we're using a gigantic, super sharp knife and a very valuable piece of steak. So I'm just going to take my knife and slice the steak kind of as paper thin as I can. And you can leave the pieces just like that, but I'm actually gonna chop it up even smaller than that after I'm done cutting a bunch of strips because I wanna replicate the texture of the D'Alessandro's cheesesteak meat. So having the meat basically frozen when I sliced it made it really easy to make thin slices of meat. I think it's gonna be the perfect texture. So now we're just adding the meat into our hot skillet. The four main components of the perfect cheesesteak are, of course, the meat, the bread, the onions, which we've already cooked, and the cheese. And I think the way you have to order Philly cheesesteak is with Cheez Wiz. That's the classic sauce that you want to put on top. So we have a beautiful jar of Cheez Wiz here, and I'm going to scoop some out into a microwave-safe bowl and add a little bit of water to thin it out. I found that that's the best way to make the most authentic consistency. So I'll show you what it looks like. So this is pretty thick when you scoop it out of the jar. That should be enough to start. And then I'll add a little bit of water and we'll pop it in the microwave in about 30-second increments just to kind of loosen it up and make it nice and warm. So because the meat started out frozen, it did release a little bit of extra liquid. So I'm just using my turkey baster to remove any of that excess liquid, and that way the meat's gonna start to really cook faster and brown nicely. So the meat is basically done cooking. You can hear it sizzling. It smells incredible in here. And now we're gonna add the onions back in just to kind of disperse them evenly throughout all the meat. So I heated my Cheez Wiz for about a minute total in the microwave, and it ended up being about half a cup of Cheez Wiz and maybe 2 or 3 tablespoons of water. And of course you can increase the amount too. We might have to do that because this is liquid gold. We love it on our cheesesteaks. So all we have to do is assemble the sandwich. So I'm starting with one of our favorite Hoagie buns, just from our local grocery store. They have a great bakery department, so they're nice and soft on the inside and a little bit crusty on the outside. We've got our Cheez Wiz, and the meat and onions are ready to go. So we're just gonna put it all together. So I like to put cheese right onto the bread and then also on top of the meat because we definitely want this in every single bite. Next, I'm just gonna add the steak and onions. And then I'm just gonna finish with one more little drizzle of cheese on top. So the only thing left to do is give it a taste. Oh wow, that's so good. I did not prepare very well because there are no napkins anywhere around me. But it's so good I don't even care. I'm going back in for more. I love the flavor of the onions. It's a little bit sweet and savory. The meat, obviously it's ribeye, it's so decadent. And I don't care what you say, Cheez Wiz is the perfect cheese for this cheesesteak. You gotta use it. It is so creamy and good. You're gonna love it. Thank you for joining me in my kitchen, and I'll see you again soon for another family recipe.
For the full recipe, check the description box below, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thanks for joining me in my kitchen.